tell me a little bit about the program structure, what that was like, the elements of that, and how that was different maybe from leadership training as you're talking about.
Well, originally what we tried to do was to orient people on different aspects of the community. Clearly, the political end was part of it, but so was the educational, so was the cultural, was the other nonprofit part of the community. And that was primarily the focus. It was not really on what some people would describe as leadership development, where you sort of look at the nuts and you learn the nuts and bolts of being a leader.
And
it sort of evolved, from what I understand,
yeah, it did evolve.
After a number of years.
But in the beginning, there was a subject, like the arts or like education, and half of it would be in the morning and the other would in the afternoon, or if it was like education, it'd be all education all day.
Sure.
And there were people who were involved in that in Long Beach that came and spoke to us, and we could ask questions of, and out of that, we eventually picked a project, which was one of those sections of the community that, excuse me, we wanted to do something about.
So it was a collective decision after that process?
In small groups.
Sure, okay. And would this happen monthly? You would get together once a month?
Yes.
Get together, and you're all, working full-time as well, so your employers were able to do that for you, and they saw that.
But one of the things we were not sure of initially was, would the employers agree to give the participants basically a day off from work 12 times a year, in addition to the initial weekend, which was involved, was sort of a bonding exercise to get all 30 participants, many of them who did not know each other. Matter of fact, most didn't know each other.
That's true.
Into a group where they could function and work together.
So tell me about that particular element of it, that this is the retreat.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to let Gayle, because she actually participated in the whole retreat.
I did.
Sure.
Well, the retreat was a weekend, and we went up and did some not challenging exercises, but significant, like moving people along a pole, log without falling off, how you can cooperate with each other to make that happen. And then we did that for 2 days, and the culmination was, this really scary thing, which was, for us, it was climbing, and it changed because the site changed over the years, excuse me, but it was climbing up a pole and then walking, a distance, and then taking a trapeze and swinging out and then coming down.
Wow.
But we were, protected.
Sure.
And in that instance, personally, I was one of the older people in the group, and I thought I was probably one of the heaviest as well, so I was really a little scared about being a participant. But I raised my hand to volunteer first, because I knew that if I stood around, I would get more and more nervous, and I wanted to do it. And the idea was to be successful at something that you don't think you can do, which was really a metaphor for the whole program.
Right.
To be successful in enabling our community to move faster, higher, better, and things that we didn't think we could do.
Sure. Finishing up there with the retreat, and you were talking about your experience on a trapeze and facing your fear. So has the retreat been a core element of the Leadership Long Beach program since the beginning, would you say?
Yes, yeah, I would certainly say so. It unites the class right at the very beginning.
And those are folks that you're with over a 100-day period, I'm understanding, 10 months? Okay.
Well, and in the beginning, we were really impacting the way the program was going to go as well. We invested ourselves in those programs, and we participated in putting them on to the next class. So that brings us closer together.
Sure, you have a different element of responsibility too, because you're also participating, but you're setting the tone for future.
Well, we thought we were the class's mother and father, brother and sister. We took responsibility for what happened to each class for a while.
What was it like outside of Leadership Long Beach while you were a participant, on the weekends or in your office setting? Were people asking you questions about what it was like, or people asking you if they could, what it was They could participate in
Not
future?
really, because
No?
at that point, it was so new that people didn't know, and there were certainly people that asked, and I had been a member of the junior league, and they helped me, my tuition to be in the class, and they would ask, because they had, they'd invested something in it, but no, I think it got more a subject of discussion later, and people would say, how can that benefit me, and how can I benefit Long Beach, and they'd want to know more about it.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier also that you had a project as part of the program. Can you tell me about the project that you were involved in?
Well, I'm not sure how they do it now, but when we were that first class, they just put titles up around the room at the retreat with subjects of the different areas of Long Beach that we'd been learning about, and we just went and stood under the sign that appealed to us. And the particular group I was with was in transportation, and then we met with people in that service, and we met together and we created a project.
What was the first project?
Well, they were all different, but our project was a bus that would go through Long Beach, go up and down Pacific Coast Highway, Ocean Avenue, and it was already in the works. We just promoted it and worked with the transportation department. But that was our project. They were not big projects. Now, that project concept has grown. And some people join Leadership Long Beach or apply hoping to be members so they can promote their, favorite thing. And the projects, we have some wonderful projects. They were supposed to contribute to the city. And that the project idea has grown. And I'm not sure how they initiate it now, if people just come forward with an idea. But I know that the groups have worked together to create a park in an industrial area for children. There are all kinds of things that they've done, and I don't have a list of them, but we could certainly get one for you.
Everything is very community oriented.
Yes, it's all community oriented.
Centric.
Needs to be. I think the community is broad, and some now it's outside of the borders of Long Beach specifically. In the beginning, it was in Long Beach.
Okay. And what was the graduation like?
Well, our graduation was fabulous. They took us to the Queen Mary and gave us a wonderful dinner, and it was a tux kind of,
Wow.
deal, and
Very important.
I thought it was really important because they asked me to speak for the class. But it was a great event. After that, we didn't do quite such a fancy deal because a lot of people wanted something that was a little more informal. But at the end of the year, we have a great event and a program, and representatives from the class speak about their class and the class experience. And sometimes there's someone from the youth group, and sometimes there's someone from EQS, and then someone from Leadership Long Beach who talks about what their year was like with their group.